Welcome to the RC Roundtable podcast, where we discuss the latest RC hobby news, events, model reviews, and a whole lot more. Welcome to episode 173 of the RC Roundtable, where we cry havoc and let loose the planes of war. Oh, and also Lee and Terry and Fitz.
Welcome to the Fitz show.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and change it now.
It's been a while since you've done one of your animated intros, so I'm glad you're back.
I feel animated today, I guess.
Yeah. At first, I thought you were doing a Vincent Price imitation. Then you rolled your R's, and I was lost.
Yeah, me too. I'm lost too.
But it was fun anyway.
All right. Well, now that you're awake, hopefully
everyone's awake.
Everyone's awake. You're listening to us.
We're in their car off the road now.
This will not be the podcast we're falling asleep with, I guess.
No, not yet. Anyway.
Well, anyways, as I said before, this is the RC Roundtable, and we're going to talk RC stuff, aren't we?
Probably.
I think so.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So, where do we start?
I think each of us have one thing, but Lee's topic is huge. So, yeah, he points silently to his hat for all you out there in Radio Land.
So, Lee, do you want to hold your powder, or do you want to let loose on everything now?
Save the best for last.
Okay,
right.
then
That
Lee goes
works for me.
first. And,
Oh,
just kidding, buddy. Just kidding. All right, so let me get mine out of the way. Since mine's short and sweet, my topic is short and sweet. I think, did I talk about it on the show last time that I have the E-Flite F14? I know I talked to you guys about it, but I can never remember if it's just a thing offline or on the show.
I actually don't remember either.
All right.
Well, now we know. I guess you have the E-Flite F14, huh?
Yeah, I'm doing it as a review, and there's no assembly. We've talked about yours before, Fitz, so I don't want to get into too much detail, but I've already made it, and I thought it was kind of interesting because I don't have the battery for it yet. That got delayed in shipping. And
So is this a free flight glider?
yeah, I was going to say.
You put a
Not quite.
He put 14 NiCads in it.
Well,
you tied it to a string and just pulled it, just dragged it along.
He dressed them all up as sidewinders.
are you guys done yet? You
No.
finished?
You opened that Pandora's box, buddy.
Get it out of your system.
What else? Dropped off the top of a house. You just ran around the room holding it, making jet noises out of your mouth.
None of those things are correct. It actually flew under its own power as intended. Okay. So here's the quick and dirty story. I wasn't planning to fly it. I was planning to go and stage some flight photos because a model like this, it's tough to get flight shots. So typically what I'll do is I'll stage some photos and then Photoshop them to get rid of whatever I was propping the airplane up with.
Hey, you're not supposed to tell people that.
Oh, yeah. Am I giving away trade secrets?
You didn't hear that.
Yeah, ignore that you heard that. Now, obviously, we actually fly the plane. We don't fake the whole thing. But just in the interest of good photography, I will sometimes stage photos. And that's what I was planning to do with the F-14 because, like I said, I did not have the battery for it yet. So I took it to the field when I was planning to fly one night, took it with me and was just going to have somebody help me out to stage the photos, yada, yada, yada. And so I got that done. And one of the people there said, well, aren't you going to fly it? I'm like, no, I don't have the battery. They're like, well, what battery does it need? I'm like, well, a Spectrum 4S 2200.
I got 3S. I got 4S. I got your 5S way down here at the bottom.
Just like that. He's like, oh, you mean this? So a buddy of mine had one there charged. Here's the clincher. It had the opposite Velcro. This F-14 comes with the prickly side on the airplane, which is the opposite of what I do.
Yes. So who's opposite?
Everybody else in the world.
But you.
But me,
Not
right?
me. No, I have the prickly side on the battery.
Yeah, it's me and Fitz against the world.
No.
That's right.
No.
All right, we're not going to dig up this
Yo,
debate
Joe.
again.
It's absolutely wrong. Just
Right.
letting you know. We already had a poll.
But-
You lost.
One thing, Lee, you sound a little low in your volume. Is that?
Cheer up, buddy. Come on.
I sound low. I'm right here.
Oh, Terry, doesn't he sound his volume a little low?
I was not catching that, but maybe.
Okay.
I'm right here. I'm testing 1,
All
2,
right.
3. I'm
Okay.
right at my mic. I can crank it up to 11.
All right,
Maybe his headset's down low.
No,
What do
because
you
Terry
guys-
sounds fine.
What do you guys think? Those of you listening, while I'm recording this, and obviously,
Send us a letter to 1315 Leeway Lane, Lower Washington.
okay. Well, you guys talk, and this is the best part of not being live. I'm going to pause my mic and let you guys chat while I go do some investigative work.
Okay.
are you really? But you'll miss my story.
Well, I can hear you. I'm just going to mute my mic and troubleshoot. I'm sorry if you guys can't hear me.
I'll miss your
Real-time
witty
troubleshooting,
retorts. Okay. So picking up where I left off, my buddy had the battery needed. It actually had the correct Velcro, which is opposite of everything I own. And I said, well, the universe is speaking to me. I better fly this airplane.
Yeah.
And so we have a grass runway, no petromat or pavement or anything like that. So I decided I was going to see if it would take off from the grass. It's fairly short. And I did a couple of attempts of going down the grass, and you could tell it was just right at that hairy edge of wanting to take off, but it couldn't quite push through to get the speed it needed. And it wouldn't rotate is the problem. And so the next plan was going to be to hand launch it. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Before I do that, let me see if this will work. And what I did was the main gear has 2 prongs where it inserts, and the wheels are near the back prong. So it's kind of offset, and the wheels are obviously behind the center of gravity. So what I did was I put the main gear in backwards. So it was very light on the nose at that point. And I tried the rolling takeoff one more time, and wouldn't you know it, it rotated and took off from the grass in that orientation.
Oh, pretty clever.
Yeah, so I was happy with myself for that. But by this point, it was a little bit cloudy, and the sun was going down, so the lighting conditions weren't the best. And I don't know what your experience has been so far with yours, Fitz, but as we talked about, all gray airframe, the camouflage pattern works pretty well. So I was finding that orientation was not the best. I got in a full flight, but I didn't try anything fancy with it. I just took it up, flew it around, did some wing sweep. I don't even think I did full sweep yet. But I took it to the forward position, the mid position, and then brought it in for an uneventful landing. Little bugger's fast.
Yeah. Quick little guy.
Yeah. And
It doesn't help it because it's kind of small too, so you got to be real careful.
right. And even with safe off and high rates on, it takes a lot of stick movement to get it around. Would you agree with that? Like, it's not light on the sticks.
Yeah. Well, you mean with the wings swept back?
Well, I don't know. I haven't had them all the way back yet, but let's just say with the wings
okay.
forward.
It wasn't too bad. I'm trying to remember. It's been a little while since I've flown it. But,
Yeah.
I found it pretty good with the wings out. Very responsive for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I did have to crank on the elevator a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think I've always flew in high rate, so but I found it pretty stable. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, very stable. But I haven't ventured below high rates yet, just because it didn't seem twitchy at all on high rates.
Yeah.
So,
Did you use the recommend setup from the? Did you download the file from the?
I didn't download it, but I replicated it.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll probably get rid of the motor cut because it's an EDF. What are you going to do?
Yeah, really, I can hurt any of that.
I figure I'm more likely to accidentally flip that switch in flight than I am to hurt myself with the 40 millimeter EDFs.
It's funny you said you never fully swept the wings. I never half swept them. I always forget that there's a middle position. So I was either all the way out or all the way in.
Yeah.
It wasn't until after I'd flown a few times, like, hey, wait a minute, there's a mid position. I totally forgot about it.
Yeah. So anyway, I was happy with the results. I'm glad the landing gear mod worked. Not that it would have been bad to hand launch it, but I just wanted to take it off from the ground. And
yeah, I'm surprised I was able to take off from grass.
Yeah.
Did you read in the manual where they talked about hand launching?
Yeah.
There was a couple interesting things I noted. Well, they gave a pretty descriptive procedure for hand launching, which I thought was interesting.
Mhm.
But they also said that it can sense when you hand launch it,
Right.
which I thought was really interesting. Apparently, the whatever they use for AS3X or whatever, when you hand launch it, and again, like we were talking about before, how about AS3X or safe mode, excuse me, would be good for hand launching. That's
Mhm.
exactly what they said. They said, please put it in safe mode when hand launching it.
Yeah.
And
Don't call us if you break it.
yeah, don't go as we break it, and it also will detect your hand launch. It detects the acceleration, and it does something with the trims, or it gives automatic up elevator or something like that. I forgot exactly what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm a little bit apprehensive to hand launch it only because I haven't found a comfortable way to hold it yet.
Oh.
I think I have pretty big hands, but to span both of those ducts is
don't be. I did a hand launch, and it's an absolute sweetheart. It's
when you were flying. Okay, good. That's
yeah,
reassuring.
I hand launched it myself. It was very, very easy to hand launch.
Okay, cool. So obviously that was my only flight so far. I haven't been able to get back out to the field, and the weather's been pretty crappy. So I'm looking forward to going back out there and trying this thing again and sweeping the wings all the way and feeling it out. But anyway, it's a lot of fun so far. It's always, I guess this is just another symptom of being an RC lifer, but I still get excited by every maiden flight. It never gets boring.
Well, yeah. There's always something. There's always a possibility of something going wrong. Your trims being out of whack, or you never know. So
yeah,
and it's a new plane.
Right. Well, even the one I talked about last time, that Goldberg Eagle, a stupid 40 size trainer, right?
Yeah.
What's easier than that? But it's still exciting to fly it for the first time. So
new plane. Each plane has its own little quirks and nuances.
It does.
So, Terry, if you fly someone else's plane, is that a maiden for the first time?
If it has flown, but not me.
Yes, but if you're flying someone else's plane for the first time, you've had no experience flying with it, don't know the characteristics, is that a maiden?
No. The whole premise of a maiden is that it's the airplane's first time. It's an unproven airplane.
But we've also modified that to say re-maiden. And
yeah, if you've changed something
again, the first was just a test. This is the real maiden.
So what was your question? What do you call it the first time you fly somebody else's airplane?
Yeah.
I don't think you need a name for that, but
I'm sure there are a lot of people wetting themselves when they were flying plywood overcast. Going, what am I doing here? What do you mean everything's on the right stick? We'll talk about it, but I'm just kind of curious what that word should be used, because there were some people who were very cautious about flying plywood overcast, as they be.
Yeah, right.
So we got to find a word for that.
Okay, yeah, we'll come up with something.
Yes,
So, all you listeners out there, what's the word for the first time flying a buddy's airplane? Keep it PG.
Yeah.
Or PG-13, whatever. All right, so that's my story. I haven't done much else RC-wise. I could tell another quick story about using RC technology at home.
Okay, but real quick, is my mic better? Because I did notice a glitch. Fitz? Is it
yeah,
louder?
I was just going to say, you do sound louder. Yes.
Okay, I did notice something was off, so thank you. Continue.
Right,
I should have known better than ask Terry. He's got a tin ear anyways.
I had a broken heart.
He didn't tell me my mic was off last time we had the live show with Bruce.
I thought I did.
No.
But I didn't. Well, all
I
right, yeah.
specifically asked, how's my audio sound? You said, fine. And it was the wrong microphone that was on.
Yeah, totally my fault there.
Well, you got to tell me. Lee would have told me, I know.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I noticed it right away the first time I heard the audio. I was like, I think that's not his microphone. Anyway, what is the other story you had for us, Terry? Sorry we stepped on your...
All right, so just a quick little anecdote. I've got this little water pump that I use to get the water out of my John boat that's on the lake. So I don't cover it up. So when it rains, it just fills with however much water. And I've got this little electric powered pump I got off Amazon. I'm not sure what the intended use is for, but this is probably close to it. It's a little wand, I don't know, 18 inches long, and it's got a flexible exhaust tube. And it's
is it like a 12 volt pump or something?
No, it's designed to run on 2 D cells.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and it works well enough. It's very simple. I think it's just a direct drive motor, no logic to it. It's just a on-off switch. And so I used that last year and it worked okay, but I would notice I would put fresh batteries in it. And then a few days later, if I went to use it again, it would barely work. So it was just eating through batteries. And for economic reasons, I thought, well, before next summer, I'm going to convert this. And what I ended up doing a few weeks ago was ripping out the parts that hold the 2D cells, and I wired in a single A123 cell. So what is that, 3.6 volts instead of 3 volts? And I had an EC30 connector, and then everything else is the same. That one cell fits in the same space that the 2Ds did. The switch is the same. Anyway, it's like a half-hour project to solder this thing up. I think it works better for a couple reasons. There's a little bit more voltage. There's probably less resistance because it's soldered connections rather than just friction. But what I found is the darn thing has a voltage leak. So if that battery, the first time I used it, I turned it on, I pumped some water out, then I put it away, and a couple days later, even the A123 was run down to almost nothing.
A parasitic leak.
Something.
And they call it voltage parasite or parasitic leak?
I don't know, I've just heard it called voltage leak. So even when it was turned off, there was some sort of draw that would pull down a battery within a couple days. So that's what was killing my D cells.
Yeah, they call it a leakage current too, I think would be another way of saying
Yeah.
it. But anyway.
I can't imagine where it's coming from because this thing is so simple.
It was turned off. Yeah.
Powered up. There must be like some sort of connection through the switch. That's
what I say. You hate switches. You've always warned about switches, so it's got to be in that.
Yeah. So now I've got that EC30, so I can just unplug it.
What kind of switch? Can you tell if it's a mechanical switch?
Switch it to one of those big box on the boat.
Blade switch.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's just a 2-position mechanical rocker. Nothing fancy. So anyway, but I can just unplug it now and it's fine now that I know what's going on. But dadgum, that thing works way better now than even with fresh D batteries. It works way better now. So I should have done that a long time ago. Anyway, but I always get like a little tickle when I use my RC knowledge to fix something that's totally not related to RC. So the same reason that I have Dean's plugs on my trolling motor and stuff like that. And I've got a little vacuum around the house that same thing. It uses an A123 pack that I whipped up.
I did something similar. My wife came home with a little, what the heck was it? It was like a little electric broom. Can't remember if it was a vacuum or just an electric broom kind of thing. And she bought it at a garage sale, and it didn't have the battery in it. So I rigged up one of my 2-cell lipos for it, and it worked great.
So I did that we have a dust buster that the whole family uses, and I had to put a sticker on there. Like when you hear it start to slow down, turn it off.
Yeah, turn it off.
There's no voltage cutoff in this. Turn it off.
Yeah, turn it off or the batteries will die. Yeah.
So I'm going to jump in now for our listeners and say, I think that's a fun little project, Terry. We, like on my last contest, I asked people to submit a photo of their favorite plane. So now I think we're going to do the little Terry project. I don't have a prize, by the way, but I would love for you guys, if you're on our Facebook page, post or share a photo of some home project you've used your RC technology to upgrade to, such as a shop vac, or what is it? Would you have, Terry?
Like a dust buster.
Dust buster, yeah.
Yeah.
Dirt Devil, that's what it was. I think those are the little red ones would be cool.
Yeah. It's funny. There's a couple of years ago, I saw a post on Facebook where a music repairman or musical instrument repairman showed pictures of a tuba that he had fixed, and the valves had all sorts of linkages and stuff, and he used Dubro ball links on the linkages for this tuba. So, it looked really good too. So it's just, I don't know, to me, it's always fun to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me when I used to work at a hobby shop. Every once in a while, somebody would come in with some harebrained idea about something totally not model related, but was looking for something to kind of fix something or another, or a project. And that was always fun to talk to people like that to try to figure out how to help them.
It's not the same thing, but I use Dean's connectors on my solar setup for my trailer. So the 12-volt converter module. So when I'm running 24 volts on my solar setup, it converts it to 12. I use Dean's so that the light panel in the trailer has just one input for a Dean's connector, and I can choose either one. So just makes it easy to plug in and disconnect. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's the same premise, but because it's an RC trailer. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, I use Dean Connector a lot. In fact, I was telling Fitz when we went to New Creations to get stuff, I just said, I'm just going to buy a whole bunch of Dean's connectors. Now,
Hmm.
all he had were the expensive ones, the new ones that have the high
white ones.
Yeah, so I was paying a lot of money for these connectors, but I got them anyway. So I will put them to use.
All right, cool. And if we're digging into it, really, I think this is further evidence that RC for kids is just a huge STEM gateway. That you learn these practical skills of working with your hands and making things happen. It's one-to-one, right? It's very direct application there. So if we needed more evidence to that, there it is. Are you listening, FAA? Soulless ghouls. Anyway, all right, that's all I had, and it was even more than I was planning to talk about. So I think you're up, Fitz.
Me? All right. Well, I had a couple things. Let's see. Where do I start? Well, speaking of airplanes, I think did I mention last show that I got one of the new Ultra Sticks, the 1.1 metre.
You did.
Ultra Stick that just came out.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a chance to fly it last weekend and do some video. It will be a review on my channel, and very nice flying model. It was it took only like 2 seconds really to put together. There's not much to put together in it. Very lightweight structure. And what's interesting is it's a bind and fly, so it comes already ready to go, even though it's a balsa wood and stuff. But there's provisions to split the flaps from the ailerons, and I thought it was interesting the way they decided to do that. It's an optional thing, so it only came with servos for regular ailerons, basically full span ailerons. But you can see that the ailerons and flaps are actually sectioned off, they're segmented, and you look closely, there's two little teeny tiny wood dowels that connect the two. And so you take a hacksaw or razor saw and you just cut those dowels, and voila, you instantly got a flap and aileron that are split, and you pop in another servo for the aileron. There's a spot for it, and then you've got them mixed. I thought that was interesting the way they did that. In case they kept it simple for most flyers, but if you wanted to separate them, this gives you the provision, and they give you the control rods for the extra control surfaces. But they don't give you the servo. You have to buy the servo separately.
So there's an extension already run out to that servo?
No, you got to run an extension too. But the wing's not very big, so you can fish it out. Should be able to fish it out pretty easily.
Okay.
And the bottom of the wing is transparent, so it's transparent red, so you can see
nice.
everything. So it's real nice.
The mini Ultra Stick, the precursor to this one, had split ailerons and flaps, but I don't remember if it was an option to do full span ailerons or if you had to do the flaps.
Yeah, I don't think it was an option to do full span. Well, I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, me neither. It's been too long.
But I just thought that was interesting. And it's funny. I set the ailerons up per the manual, and it was pretty sprightly. They may have thought if you had them split, that's the throws you want. But with a full span, that sucker rolls like a drill bit on high rates.
There's low rate, high rate, Fitz rate.
Yeah, it was fun. Good power. 3-cell is good. Mild sport flying. 4-cells, it goes straight up. It was you can tell that it's a lightweight plane because when you throttle back, it's very floaty, surprisingly floaty on it. So, anyways, it's a fun plane. Came down in one piece. Had a good time with it, and you will see my. I'm editing the video now, so I should have it done hopefully by tomorrow.
Cool.
Friday, so I'll have it up.
Is that a video only review?
Yeah, video only.
Okay, nice. And you work fast. It takes a lot of work to. Well, yeah, it takes a lot of work to put together those videos and edit them and all that.
It does, and I'm experimenting with a faster way of doing it. So hopefully, it looks like it's going to work out a little bit. It doesn't take a whole lot of time off, but it takes a little bit of time off to editing. So. But I need to split it up because I got to actually have a backlog of stuff to do, and I really need to get on a bunch of stuff. So
I think he takes a hit off of his Fitz fuel to keep it going. That's all I can imagine. And then he adds a little bit of 5-hour energy drink in there. I don't know how you do it, Fitz.
You saw on Brett Becker thing he's making?
Yeah.
Did you see
I don't know how you can see it.
I don't know either, but he got some fuel from me for that.
Right. Well, I I guess I'll full disclosure. You talked about this in an episode, and you wouldn't tell us who ordered it, but it was 50% methane.
It was Brett. I'm gonna let it. Don't let the cat out of the bag.
He told me, it's like I'm going to say something. I don't care.
50% nitro for his
nitro. I said,
but it's a
nitro
010, right? I think he said.
I think he's bringing a 010.
010, yeah.
What is this thing?
That's a black dart of death.
EDF.
It's a EDF GDF custom built that he's making out of carbon fiber. I think it's
Carbon
all carbon.
fiber.
Oh, 'cause I saw some post on Facebook about the plane, but I guess I didn't read closely enough. I didn't realize it's fuel powered. I thought it was EDF.
Both. He told me he was going to do both, actually.
Yeah, he's going to fly EDF first and then switch to Cox power.
Yeah. And he said he was going to hand launch it. I was like, what?
So what size motor?
I don't know what size electric motor. He didn't say.
What size fuel motor?
Oh,
Cox
010.
Yeah, Cox 010.
0.010.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly.
But
That's why you got fuel that's
it's
half nitro.
Probably
It's
not
gotta be
much
tiny.
bigger than that.
Yeah.
I know, but it's all black. You'll never know the orientation. Don't you dare fly that in overcast skies.
I hope he's
man.
going to paint it or something.
Yeah. Do you know what size fan?
A custom fan. He's molded his own fan as far as I remember.
Well, right. Do you know what diameter?
I forgot.
With an O and a.
Got to be tiny.
Wow. We should get him on here to talk about it.
40 millimeters. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Wow. I don't think that's ever been done. Not that I've seen.
I don't think I've seen an 010. Well, have they done 010s? Maybe some free flight ones, I think.
Yeah, that
might
could
have
be.
done.
Yeah, people do lots of cool stuff, but
Yeah.
that'll be something to see and hear. I can, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to cover my ears just thinking about it.
Screaming his life out. 50,000 RPM. He's a mad lad. So anyways, the next thing is I had my first boat. Yeah, the F there's squared, there's cubed, F4, F to the fourth power. I don't know if there's another name for that. FOF, yes.
And you didn't even get it right here. It's Fitz's Fantastic Food of something or other.
Yeah. So this was the first one of the year. Actually, I had planned to have it earlier, but I was busy traveling, all kinds of stuff. So I finally had it, and man, it started out cold and windy. It was. I knew it was going to be kind of iffy in the morning and progressively improve, but man, it really was. So I had this after some people had come to me in the previous event said, "Hey, we're having a lot of fun, but we're a little worried about these really fast speedboats, zipping past our sailboats and our little scale, river boats and slow tugboats and that kind of stuff." So I said, "Okay, well, let's try an experiment where we try to segregate the pond a little bit using you can see the fountain in the top right if you're watching on YouTube. That fountain would be sort of demarcation line. I said, okay, speedboats will be to the left of the fountain, basically to the west, and slow movers will be to the
back of the bus.
Not in the back of the bus. Just it was a fact that the fast movers have a little bit faster, a little larger section of the pond. And so you're seeing some. This is from the morning. I brought up my catamaran, which flipped over. The guy had he had a neat little airboat thing that had two props for forward and one prop for reverse. And so you can see one prop is, they worked pretty good. He was able to flip around, rescue some boats and that kind of stuff.
And I assume differential thrust?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but did it have FPV?
No,
FPV.
But like a little Tupperware thing at the top.
Oh, hey,
just saying.
I see you. You cut that out.
All right. So anyways, it was really windy. And so eventually some of the guys says, hey, the other side of the pond is not as windy as a windbreak, like trees and stuff. And so I kind of looked up, and next thing I know, everybody had moved over to the other side of the pond. And so the speedboat guys are late risers. They tend to skew younger. So when they showed up, they're like, hey, wait a minute. They're over where the speedboat part is. What's going on? And so there was some confusion for a little while until we tried to settle it. I said, okay, we'll just shift things around a little bit because of the weather. And it's the first time it's ever happened. The only time I say, hey, let's do some segregation, everybody suddenly goes to the other side of the pond where they never go.
Right.
So anyways, we worked that out. And so Bob Martin of the Nautilus Dry Docks, I believe is the website's called. He came down and he brought that is a 9-foot long American fleet sub, Gato class, World War II sub.
For those of you listening, you're gonna want to pull up this on YouTube or go
You
to our
wanna pull
Facebook
it.
page and see the photos of this submarine.
Wait,
That's
is he
amazing.
rolling that on a ladder?
Yes, it's a converted ladder. He took a
Okay.
metal aluminum ladder or whatever, put a couple of wheels on it, and because you're not going to lift that by yourself. It took 2 of them to put it in the water with straps.
Really?
Two beefy guys to put it in, and it was his maiden voyage, and it actually ran really good, even though he had some minor hiccups in it. You didn't really notice it until you pulled it out, but it was really good. You can see some shots of it running on the water, running underwater. He had a GoPro camera he'd stick on it.
Oh, nice.
This thing was magnificent. I think it had 12 channels of goodness. It had a working radar thing. It had servo-controlled guns. It had a sound system that played all kinds of sound files. It had retractable dive planes, 4 dive planes.
Come on, working torpedoes. Say working torpedoes.
I don't know. No, as far as I know, it didn't have working torpedoes, or at least he didn't try it.
If the sound system didn't have Sean Connery on it, I'm not interested.
I'm gonna dive. It had people talking. It had simulated exhaust. They had some sort of thing where you could take the water and make smoke, and so out of the exhaust ports, it would produce smoke. It had lights.
Tell me he had torpedoes.
That's right.
I forgot to ask him about the torpedoes. So really clever. He had this ironclad, the monitor, which was pretty neat, which had a working turret. Yeah, that was kind of neat to see that. This gentleman, he's been here before. He brought a steamboat. This is a steam-powered boat with a little steam engine in there. And
like sterno or something?
Yeah, I think it was sterno-powered. This is a different steamboat. Another gentleman came with a steamboat. So there was 2 steamboats out there. He had some G.I. Joe-ish figures.
Yeah.
There's our buddy Kirk brought his tugboat and a new speedboat. That's the one he bought at Kirk's at New Creations, by the way.
Okay, I was going to ask because he talked about the tugboat he bought in Georgia last year, which I assume is much bigger than that.
It is. It's not ready, although he said it's close. He said he's been working on it quite diligently. So,
cool.
Bob and his cohort brought a couple other subs. This is a small dynamic diver. This was a fast little guy. It was a was it German? I think it was a German 212 or something like that. This was our buddy Phil Rehnquist, new acquisition. This nice little cabin cruiser. It was his first run. Really nice. Yeah, it was a beautiful boat.
Was it wood?
I believe it was. Yes. I believe it was. It was very, very nice. He's going to do more detailing to it. A few sailboats. The one on the right is actually a free runner sailboat. The powerboat guys came up with some yeah, that's a free runner sailboat. You just set it in the water and let it go. These boats are actually quite big. The one on the left, I believe, used 2 6-cell batteries.
Oh my
one
gosh.
big motor. Yeah, it was a monster. It was one of the ones that you couldn't get up to full speed at the pond. It was, there's no way it had enough room for where we were running. But the speedboat guys did some pretty impressive stuff.
So speaking of speedboats, have you been keeping tabs on Oxidine Marine?
I have not. What's something going on with them?
Well, you've got their mini dom, which
I do.
I think that's the one we drove out at the Expo West in that tiny little pond.
Right.
And that's a fast little bugger. But it looks like he's got some new stuff, including some outrigger boats.
Really?
Seem very interesting. Yeah.
I actually need to order some parts. After my boat versus turtle incident, my boat hasn't been quite right since. I think a bearing went in the drive shaft, so I need to get some more bearings. It makes a really horrendous sound when I go up to full throttle with it.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
All right.
Here's my flying sub. Funny story. I ordered some new, more powerful, the ones I told you about, Terry.
Right. You told us about it.
I misplaced one. I couldn't find it for the life of me. It wasn't
It's
in the
in
box
the
where it should have
DeLorean.
been. Yeah. So I wasn't able
DeLorean.
I should look under it. So I wasn't able to remotor it, but I did notice I had some issues with the programming. I had kind of set some of the mixing wrong on the transmitter. So I said, well, I'll just keep those same motors and I'll try it with the tweaked programming. And it did do a little better, but those motors are just so weak. It barely moves under its own power. Barely moves. So I really need to. So what I did is I ended up ordering just another other pump jets. And so if I find the other one, I'll just have an extra one or I'll stick it in another project or something. But and there's I think the 2 and 2 again. They had another sub. Here's I believe these are from Shimano's new owner, Blake, he brought his Miss Geico, some other speedboats. So we had a really good mix of boats. He's running it around, of all kinds of stuff. So it's always a good time. We had a good showing. The weather improved quite a bit as the day went on. And that's Blake running his boat. Another guy, his boat flipped over and he's waiting for the rescue thing to come over. Okay, this is the gentleman. This is a Russian Alpha sub. And this is, if you remember Hunt for Red October, this was the one that was sent. Wasn't Sean Connery's boat. It was the other Russian boat that was sent to hunt down Sean Connery and the Americans. It's a fast interceptor sub, and it had a really, really neat, I think I have a picture, but another 3D printed propeller. This one was really nicely set up, ran really well. The guy was actually served in real subs, and so he set his transmitter up like how real subs work, and it was really confusing. He's going to pull this lever, and this lever controls a forward dive plane. This lever controls a rear dive plane, and this is your speed is on this knob, and it's like, oh, I'm not. Okay, only you can drive that thing. But it was real nice, beautiful looking sub. So this guy came from Dallas, as a matter of fact, came down. So
not just for this.
Yes.
Really? Wow.
Yes, he did. Believe it or not,
Fitz is famous.
He gets the distance award. Here's some of the steamboats again with Wonder Woman and some sort of G.I. Joe figure.
I pity the fool.
Yeah.
Steamboat.
Another gentleman came up with his tugboat. Yeah, there it is. There's a 3D printed propeller from the Alpha sub. It's really, really nice looking. I had to take a picture of it. There's Bob again wheeling off the sub.
Another angle.
Yeah, it was a big mother. He said 8 feet long, and it stuck out the back of the pickup truck they had. So another relatively successful boat run. Sorry you missed it, Lee. There's some good stuff, and we had a cadre of a bunch of stuff. I don't know if you saw it, Terry. A guy brought another one of those Vietnam pump jet boats.
Yeah. I was looking at mine the other day. I need to get it back in the water.
He told me something interesting. He said there's an aftermarket kit you can add on to give it reverse thrusters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're 3D printed. He said he had part of it on it, but he said he hadn't finished installing it. And so there's little covers, I guess, that come down over the exhaust, kind of like thrust reversers on a jet. And
that's how the scale or the full scale worked as well.
Yeah.
Huh.
So you look it up. I think I don't know if it was Thingiverse. I think he had to go on to what's the other site? The ones that printed for you. I forgot the name of it. I always forget the name of that site. But anyways, Shapeways. That's it, Shapeways. Okay. So I thought that was interesting.
Does he have a turn fin on his?
I don't think so.
Okay. I've probably talked about it on here, but mine was very prone to spin out just because there is no fin in it.
Oh.
And so I made a little aluminum turn fin, and it works great.
Yeah, I'll just have to ask him. He seemed to fly okay for his. He was zipping around. I don't remember him turning out. But it depends on the power. He says if you put too much power in it, it does weird things.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it.
Yeah, maybe.
Hard to say.
Yeah, fun little boat. That was the Patrol Boat Alpha, I think, by Probo.
Yeah. That's too bad. They don't make that anymore. Oh, did you see they announced a new boat, another Vietnam era boat? Did you see that?
A Swift boat.
Is it called a Swift boat?
I thought so.
Something VP or V. I forgot what it's called. It's not quite. It's a little. It looks. I think it's bigger. At least the real one was bigger. I don't know. But I just saw they just announced it. I think last night or something that they had a new pro boat, Vietnam era. It's gray instead of dark. But anyways, so we had a blast at the SEFF. Yeah,
the FOF. Come on,
the
man.
FOF.
It's a great name.
So we'll probably have another one in another 3 months, roughly. Trying to decide when. I think I had a tentative date. June, maybe? No, July, I think.
You don't do them more frequently in the summertime?
No, I don't. I try not to overstay my welcome. But if people want to have them more often in the summer, I might consider it. But usually I'm pretty busy. So,
well, you guys aren't keeping anybody else from doing something at the park. It's not like there's a swim team or water polo that meets there.
It's a free, and I tell that people because people say, "Hey, thanks for doing this." Like, it's a free and open park. You can come here anytime. I just send every once in a while. I send out an email. It's basically like, "I'm going to come out. You guys are welcome to join me." Almost.
Yeah, but it's you.
Yeah, they don't get to rub elbows with you that often.
No, I don't care about me. So anyway, it is fun to play with boats, but I need to get around to fixing some of my boats.
I found this at a antique store when I still lived in New York, and yeah, I found it in a box I was unpacking the other day.
Too bad there's no more. Yeah, I need one of those.
Yeah, you
Just get your own.
can't get a table at that restaurant. I'm with Fitz.
It reminds me of there was a campaign when I was in, I think, in middle school. For some reason, the kids kept running around saying "Fitz for Prez."
Like Pedro for president.
Fitz for Prez. Yeah, I guess that it was lyrical or something. I don't know. I don't remember the gist of it, but they kept wanting me to run for president or something or whatever. Anyways, so enough of the preamble. Lee, you went on a 3-hour tour somewhere.
Yeah, let's get to the actual amble.
Out east, and us poor chaps, we had to stay here and work, and you had a good old time doing airplane stuff. Tell us all about
I worked.
Yeah, on the job.
Worked.
If you talk to some of those people, they'll say I was working the crowds.
You're working them sticks. That's what you were working.
Yeah, I worked some sticks. I won't lie, but I handed those sticks off to other people.
So tell us about your first time at SEFF.
At SEFF, for those of you who have been listening to the podcast and you have been following our Facebook page, I went, I saw, I flew, I conquered, I returned home safely. I did go to SEFF, the Southeast Electric Fantastic Flotilla. I'm just kidding. Flight Festival in Andersonville, Georgia at Mac Hodges Field. And it was a blast. I hope some of you guys got to see some of the photos I posted. I'm sharing, some now that are actually part of the AMA Facebook page, because that's where I put the gallery. And did you guys look through the photos?
We did.
Did you see the stuff I got to look around and touch and smell? And I didn't caress anything. I had to fix some stuff. But yeah, I'm wearing my little hat. This is a cool new hat they got. They said it's been very popular, and I'm wearing mine right now.
Oh, nice.
You guys are looking at the screen.
So it's your SEFF hat.
It's my SEFF hat. And I want to start by this group right here. This is the Fayette Flyers group. Bob, the tall fellow in back, he's the president, the head honcho. Bob Bernard, he's a great host. An excellent host, and does a fine job. And the entire staff right there did everything in their power to make everyone feel relaxed, have a good time. And so my hat is off. I'll tip my hat to those guys for making me feel very welcome, for being very cordial. I'm going to do another little nod to the gentleman in the middle in the blue jacket. That's David Keller. This hobby is great because of the people. The planes are cool. They're awesome. But when you get to hang around some people that love the hobby just as much as you, but these people took the time to not fly to make sure you were having a good time. And I think that speaks volumes to this event. Never been there, always heard about how fun it was, always think about the planes, but this group of folks right here made it special. So really, in all sincerity, I want to thank them for making it incredibly fun and yummy, because boy, did they actually cooked for us. They have a vendor exhibitor dinner, and they rolled a red carpet out for you. They what do you call it? Just smoke that beef, and and they make some great veggies, and they had a little party where you could just sit down and talk, and they want you to come back, and I know I was just with the AMA, I was there to document it and have fun, but man, I was very honored to be treated that way. It's like, they were like, you guys are with the AMA, you're helping us keep this hobby alive, that kind of treatment, And so again, can't tell you how thankful I am for these people to make it worth your while. If you haven't been to SEFF, right now, put it on your bucket list. You've got to go. Now, of course, you have to have an electric plane. So for those of you who only fly gas, well, you could go anyway. The food was good.
You can go and fly plywood overcast.
You could fly by. That's a long story. I put that down on my list a little bit further down. So
okay, take a breath. I have a question.
Yeah, go shoot.
So you said the Fayette Flyers, they're the hosts of this event. Is this their home field?
It is not their home field.
Okay.
And the first year was, I don't remember the name of the other field. The first year SEFF was held was not here at Mac Hodges. It was held here afterwards. It's been there ever since. So I guess for the last 20 years, it has been there. And they used to have over 400 pilots registered in the early years at SEFF. And I'll be honest with you, it was over a little over 200, somewhere around 210 this year. I can't imagine what it would have been like with over 400 pilots.
And let me add to that.
Not only that, that's probably during the 72 megahertz days.
I was just about to say that the first time I went, they had a radio impound. And so, yeah, you had to wait till they called your name on the loudspeaker before you could go and get your transmitter flag and go fly. And yeah, I think just the overhead of the impound probably took a ton of people. It was still fun, but it was just different.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up because I had a conversation with Jay Smith, editor for Model Aviation Magazine. After our Wednesday office meeting, Jay called me up. We talked for about an hour. I kid you not. We were talking about SEFF. He had been going to SEFF for years, he and his dad. And he mentioned to me, and I completely forgot, but he told me about it. He said, at SEFF is when we did 99 airplanes. We broke a record, 99 airplanes in the air at the same time. Tony Stillman was there.
I think I was there for that one too.
Wow. Yeah. I bet that was crazy. Cray, as they say.
Not to downplay that, because at the time it was huge, but I think they did more than that at Flight Fest.
Yeah, they did.
for combat, even. It's become routine now, but as we were just getting to 2.4, that was
exactly. So you had
amazing.
People with 72, and you had people on spread spectrum.
And ham bands too.
There you go.
They filled every slot.
27 megahertz infrared.
And Jay was, he just wanted to know how I felt about going for the first time. He just, kind of wanted to relive it through me.
Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at. I'm trying to relive it through you.
I had a blast. I mean, so let me go through my notes and feel free I'll try to take pauses so you can ask me questions. So I had a really awesome campsite. I don't know if I have it at the very bottom of this page. I think I did posted it in RC Roundtable. But Bob gave me a spot right in the center, right at the front, where I had my 10x10 canopy set up for setting up, my chargers and prepping planes, my AMA flag, and then immediately had my trailer and my truck there. And I just, they just stayed there because I stayed in my trailer, and that was great. It was just easy to get to the main covered area, the covered pits area, where they had the raffle prizes, which by the way was crazy, over 200 items. And just the way they do the raffles, to me, kind of nuts, but very busy. Made a lot of money. I'll leave it at that. There was cash flying in that register for raffle tickets.
Well, that's the point.
And I'll just end it right now. I didn't win a single thing. By golly, had a great time. Didn't win anything. It's rigged, I tell you. But the food they had, there was a company, I think it was called like Bob's Soul Food or something like that. Boy, every morning they had breakfast, they had lunch. I had to do this for my mom because we're from the South, but I had my grits. They also had lima beans, and I like lima beans. They were awesome. And fried chicken. I mean, everything. This place was great. I kept tipping them because that food was excellent. And of course they had coffee. So that was my necessary evil. So camping was fine. I didn't have any issues. I slept pretty well. Like the first night was great. Second night, I don't know. Couldn't keep my eyes closed. And
you were too excited.
Maybe we'll just say that.
It's like Christmas Eve.
It wasn't too bad in there. And in fact, it got kind of chilly at night. Not too bad, but I was prepared. So sleeping in the trailer was perfect. I had no issues. And, what did I bring?
You brought the trailer, and the last time we talked about your prep for that, you were mentioning the troubles you were having with the trailer. So it ultimately worked out okay?
Well, the trailer is not done, so I got it back to a condition where I could camp in it, and it worked fine. So I still want to remove the other wall and insulate it. So with what I had, no issues. I had a vent. I've already had 2 small vents that do pass-through air, but the main vent at the top worked great. It has an electric fan. The lights work great. Never drained my batteries. And so that worked fine.
All right, good.
So obviously we've talked about this before, and if you've been on our Facebook page, it's now the cover photo, but Plywood Overcast made the trip. That was, I guess that was the fun part. I think it made a lot of people smile. And I think, Terry, it should be making you smile because it got a lot of conversations going. People had a lot of questions about it. And I'm just glad you did decide or take my advice or, just finally gave in to my bidding to put it together because it was a great hit. I don't know if this was right or not, so Terry might kick me for this, but once I put it together, I didn't want to take it apart. So I left it outside under the canopy every night, and I just, lowered it down. So it got kind of damp. I don't think it suffered any problems, Terry. But
I don't know. If a tornado was coming, I'd crawl under Plywood Overcast for protection.
Good point. Well taken. So I took Plywood Overcast. I took my Phase 3 P38. I took my JR Models P38. I took my Flightline RC P38. I brought my...
Wait, hold on. I'm counting. All right, Plywood Overcast. How many JR P38? Flightline P38.
Phase 3.
Phase 3 P38.
So that's all the P38s.
Okay.
I brought my Flightline RC Tiger Cat.
Okay.
That's 5.
I brought my Multiplex Pilatus Porter.
6.
Okay, that's the first single motor plane you've mentioned so far.
I brought my Park Zone Corsair D-Day version.
Okay, I like that one.
That was fun, and because I had just people asking about it. I brought my Twin Otter, my version, my modded Twin Otter. I brought the Twin Otter on floats.
2 Twin Otters you brought? All right.
I brought 2 Twin Otters, and I brought a UMX Timber.
10. 10
right, so
planes.
7 out of 10 were twins.
Oh, and Thunder and Lightning.
7 out of 11 were twins. All right, that's cool.
Flew every one of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how many people flew Plywood Overcast?
Probably about 15.
Really? That's great. And they all signed it?
Yep.
All right. Nice.
Was there any close calls with it or anything like that?
One. And we'll leave it at that because I don't want to make them upset. I do have a video here that I'll show. I don't know if it's going to do that, but if you guys are watching. So there's proof that Plywood Overcast did, in fact, make it to SEFF, did some passes. And I don't know if the picture's here. I'd love to bring it up, but Josh Finn, who his wife, is it Holly? Gosh darn it.
Sorry, I don't know.
He does free flight, and he's a very nice guy. We had dinner with him one evening, and we had a wonderful chat. But he got his hands on Plywood Overcast, and he just was smiling ear to ear. He was having a great time. He goes, "Man, it's just like a big lazy glider," and that's exactly what it is, except there. But everybody mentioned the wobble, the little dance it did. Everybody was talking about the little dance. So.
That'd be did anybody see it on the ground what the heck is that?
Oh yeah. A lot. A lot of people did that.
That's great. When I still had it, people would mention them go look at the inside, look at the woodwork on the formers and all this stuff. It's somebody was building a set of cabinets and they turned it into an airplane.
Yeah, and that leads me to the next thought. It's be really neat that if we ever hunt down who built that, just let them know that it's actually flying, and a lot of people have enjoyed it, and so forth. That'd be really neat to find the builders.
Yeah, I agree. So now I don't want to get off Plywood Overcast just yet.
Okay.
If we're going to do this, if we're going to take it to different events and invite people to fly it, I think it needs a few things. Number one, you need to paint that motor mount, buddy. When I gave it to you, the motor mount was painted a nice matching red. Now you had to make a new motor mount because we swapped the motors, but just get a can of rattle can spray paint and do your job. Nobody
has complained about the motor mount.
They're not going to complain. You're giving them a flight on it. But please pretty pleased with sugar on top.
You know
Paint the
what?
motor
Just
mount.
because of that, I'm going to wallpaper it.
Whatever, just not bare wood. All right, so I think we should paint the motor mount. And I say we.
Wow, that's number one. Your number one problem is the motor mount.
Yes.
Is that's triggering you beyond measure.
And the next thing.
Oh, God, there's more.
I've got 3. The next thing is it's got those spoilers on top and bottom. At least on the top, I think we should activate the spoilers and see if they work as ailerons.
And when you say we,
it's in your shop. If I come down to visit, that would be a fun project to do. So if
Is
you
there-
want to wait,
Is there a mechanical connection to the spoilers or something? Is there something inside?
there's a bay in there where all you had to do is you could just hook up a servo pretty quickly.
Oh, okay.
But they're already in place and hinged. They're just taped shut now. I think originally they were going to be driven by a cable. So I think the cables are there, or they were there. But 90% of it's in place. It just needs a servo hookup. And I think they might work decent as ailerons to give 4-channel control.
Be interesting to try.
Yeah. And like I said before, it's on top and bottom. I don't know how effective the bottom ones would be, but if nothing else, just like a drag brake on one side.
My instant gut feeling is that I would not keep them separate. I would apply it as a mix with rudder. I would not have you using that as ailerons or spoilerons in this case.
Yeah, we could feel it out. It's big and slow enough. I don't think it would
But
do
you know
anything
what?
drastic.
As everybody else who flew it said, it doesn't need anything.
It doesn't, but I don't know, just something I always intended to do with it.
All right, what's
Anyway,
number 3?
Number 3,
three.
wider track landing gear. So we can handle a little bit of a crosswind. And that's easy. That's just some strengthened wire.
I had no problems taking off and landing with that plane.
I've had a couple times where it tipped over when I was trying to turn while I was taxiing, but
Yeah, I saw your
it's
video.
a minor thing. So, that's number 3 for a reason. It's minor, but yeah. Did you have to pump up the tires?
No,
Okay.
you're fine.
They're pneumatic tires. So go ahead.
I've got a 4th thing.
Oh, jeez.
No,
Okay.
this will be cool because it's got that pod thing on the top, right?
Right. Where it used to be a
needs
motor
a-
mount.
It needs a dummy motor with a freewheeling prop on that pod.
Oh, let's just add more drag.
Yeah. Goodness.
Yeah.
Fitz.
No, it's
Why don't you
freewheeling.
just drag a parachute behind it.
No. It's freewheeling. Yeah, no. It'd be
How about I
fine.
just get a little Barbie doll?
a
strapped
small
to the
prop?
top?
It doesn't have to be a big prop, just a small one, just to give it some character.
Yeah. That because I was going to suggest we take that hump off. But
No.
whatever.
I can't now. KFC has put his name smack dab in the middle
Oh,
of
there's
the.
already signatures.
Yeah.
Okay. So it stays. All right. That's all I have to say about Plywood Overcast. I'm super happy that you took it, and I'm even happier that people flew it and signed it.
Yeah.
It lives.
Even I signed it. Look,
Did you? Did somebody put on there? I thought this was a B-17.
he did.
That's funny.
Don't ask me why. Guy goes, hey, hi. He get closer. Goes, oh man, I thought that was a P-17. The drinks were flowing at SEFF.
All right, we can move
So-
on.
Who's that?
Kike.
You know who that is? Kike.
Yeah.
Kike
Was that
reflects-
Kiki?
Yeah, Kike.
Wow, okay. I haven't seen him in a long time, so I didn't recognize him.
And they were doing some good flying up there.
Oh, that guy can fly.
Yeah. There you go. Look at that. That was a little pass Kike made right in front of me.
Yeah, with the RV. Yeah. Yeah, I believe it.
Ooh.
See, that's my kind of camouflage. It's got camouflage, but it's got day-glow orange in the wings and the tail.
Yeah.
Can't miss it.
So Dag and his friend were dropping this RC parachute. And I don't know how this thing was supposed to work. All I know is that I got this where when they released it, it's still hooked onto the plane.
Yeah, it looks like it's wrapped
Yeah.
around the struts or something.
And so it was flying like this for a while. And they were just like, please don't open up. Here's the parachute right here. They go, please don't open. Please don't open up. Uh-oh. It opened up.
It opened up. Oh.
And then that tail just went up in the air. And then that plane, so Dag had no control, man. But the damage was minor and no big deal.
Turns to a BRS.
Yeah.
Now, if you're planning to talk about this later on, I'll wait. But didn't he drop some other kind of parachute thing?
He did. It's pictures. The pictures are in here.
Okay, then I'll wait
Yeah.
till you get to
Oh,
it.
no, I can get to it. I'll just scroll right down.
For those of you who may be listening, we're looking at some pictures on on the Academy of Model Aeronautics Facebook page. There's a whole bunch of. Oh, that's a neat picture of it with the drone. Or
Yeah.
is that you, Lee, or somebody else?
No, somebody else. But here's the fun part: what you don't see in this photo, you see in this photo. Don't drop the baby.
Yeah. A baby with a parachute. It had a
So
pacifier
that's
too in its mouth,
that's the drag chute. So that's actually cool. So it does a drag for a while.
That's a great job.
Looks like Chucky.
It does.
Yeah. Now I will say the guy who did the chase squad had some great footage. It's on YouTube, plus some pretty good stills. I guess they just grabbed from the video. So there's some really good in the air shots. So this is the best I could do from the ground from so far up. But I thought this one turned out pretty good.
I hope everybody finds humor in this.
Oh, me too. And then I got the shot of the parachute coming out. The system worked really well.
Oh,
Wow, that's pretty
this
fancy.
is no joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Look at that.
Yep. That's it. That's all I got. I mean, I got it hitting the ground, but that just didn't look right sharing with that. So I didn't put that out there.
The baby survived.
Is the ripcord servo actuated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just, it doesn't deploy automatically when you
Yeah.
drop the chute. They actually trigger it.
Yeah. Dag had it all. By the way, this is KFC. That's the guy who signed his name big time on Plywood Overcast.
What's
Nice.
with the
Is
Roman hat there?
I don't know. It's made out
Okay.
of foam or something. He's a very nice guy. I enjoyed having conversations with him, but he
Like the-
is a character.
Like the thing at
Yeah.
the top is like a toilet bowl.
It is. Yeah. The toilet bowl cleaner. Again, for those of you listening, you're missing out.
You need to see the pictures. Stop what you're doing and go over. Look at the pictures.
Yeah. And,
Nice
you know, there's some more photos that I have here that I've
Good
shared. So
eclectic mix of aircraft. Was there something that really stood out to you as far as an aircraft or a model or something?
well, gosh darn it. His name is Lane Walker, I believe. 14-year-old kid flying this Flex Innovation Ultimate. Very talented kid. Very
Cool.
talented. And enjoyed watching him at the sticks. Jace, I think, was the other gentleman who flew with him. And I don't remember his last name, but both of these.
Ducia.
Huh?
Jace the Ace Ducia.
Okay, thank you. Both of those young men were putting on a great show. These two right here. They had a great time out there. So that was fun. You know what? Everybody deserves a round of applause for being able to fly in that airspace. As Terry mentioned on our previous podcast, you know, it's different to fly because you think you have different sections of where people are flying, but that one whole runway, there were people who were at the far end, like at the end, who would fly the airplane all the way down and come down the center while people were hovering or something. So you had to have eyes in every corner of your face to see where somebody else was.
Yeah.
I saw 3 mid-airs.
Only
And
3?
that's when I was out there flying. I'm sure I heard some more. And I know of some others that occurred, you know, when I wasn't there. But the one that hurt the most was a gentleman who had, and it may have been a Flex Innovation RV, like a foamy version. I think they have a small one that's a foamy version.
They do.
He had his on floats. He just took off. I mean, he'd been sitting there the whole time, just troubleshooting it, checking it out. So he's like on the water for a good 3-4 minutes, took off, made his right turn, went downwind and ran into a guy coming up the other way, took his plane down with him into the lake.
Ugh.
Goodbye.
Worse.
Yeah, it was not good.
And I think that was something that you and I talked about, not on the show, but I was telling you that a strange experience I had, I don't remember if it was SEFF or some other big event, but probably SEFF, that it felt weird to fly not only at a different location, but one that was so big. I lost all perspective of a flying area and the speed of my model. It just felt very foreign at first to fly at a large location like that. And probably all the other airplanes being around didn't help either, but it took me a little bit to adjust to it. Eventually I was fine, but that first flight was awkward.
I can't say I felt like it was big, like big, because Joe Nall's pretty darn big and our field, Northwest RC, is pretty big. But you had, and by the way, this is not a criticism for the other pilots because people were just flying where they could. And, you know, those who were flying scale models were trying to make it, you know, coming down and keep a certain pattern. And those who were hovering and doing crazy aerobatics, they were typically in the center, like literally in the middle of the length and middle of the outward as well. So you wanted to avoid them, but I didn't feel like I was angry at anybody because most people just wanted to go fly. But you know, when I was flying the JR models P38, the Speed 400 one, one of my favorites. I was very honored. I had several people come up to me afterwards and tell me how nice it was and where could they get one. And I said, sorry, you can't. And I was really worried about that because there was a time when there were some people flying that they were just anywhere, everywhere. And I was like, man, I really, really do not want to have a midair with this thing. But no, nothing else was scary. Now let's talk about the float fly. What do they call themselves? The Virginia, not committee. Oh my goodness. They're going to be so mad at me for getting the name of their thing. You know what? If you give me a second, I will tell you exactly what they called themselves. Because Scott was like, I don't want to say one of their leaders. Well, maybe I'll say Scott. So Scott Fisher was telling me that, they're the clan from Virginia. And where in the heck is the name of this group? Oh, I gotta give you the name. Stand by. I know this is taking a while, but you know what? I gotta give them the right grade. The Virginia delegation. That's what they call themselves. So,
what are they signing a constitution or something?
But a great group of guys. I didn't even mention Joshua Orchard yet, but down on which side was that? Maybe the east end. They had a campfire. Every night they had a little gathering, and they invited me every evening to come hang out with them. And I listened to them chat, and they're just a funny group of guys. But they also did the float fly, so they invited me out there. I brought the Twin Otter on floats. Now, the first time I went, not many people were out there, so that was my time to experiment with it. And I was out there in the morning, so no problems with it because I had flown the other one at Joe Knoll without any issues. Enjoyed it. I was making some awesome landings too, but when these guys got with me, I guess I got nervous because I was skipping the heck out of that plane. But that said, the floats are so low. You get such a low center of gravity with that thing. I mean, the floats might as well just be attached to underneath the wing. It was nothing. It didn't cause me any problems. I never spun around. I never dipped a wing in the water. I just wish it looked prettier. Some of those guys were doing some awesome takeoffs and landings. And then we had the most beautiful sunset at that night. So the water was glass, the beautiful orange glow of the sky. So that was fun. I will say that's one of the highlights was getting to fly the Twin Otter on the water with those other guys.
Cool. So what'd you say?
Any questions?
I think so. I'm going to, we gave you a mission. We don't have to talk about the mission yet, but what about night flying?
All right, let's see if I can pull that up. Yes, there was night flying. Oh my gosh. Where's your fingers? Add another plane. I bought a brand new Radian for Austin.
Oh, right.
So we brought the Radian. That was the first time we flew it. Flies so good. That thing was excellent. It was penetrating well, super long flights. I was cutting off engine power like 50 feet, and that sucker would just come down the whole length of the runway. It's excellent. It's a great plane, by the way. So the night Radian was fun. A lot of people had night Radians. Fitz, you'll like this. It wasn't exactly a Leprechaun. I can't put my finger on it, but about the size of your Leprechaun, this guy had a transparent yellowish covering, LEDs all inside, EDF.
EDF.
I totally disagree with his decision to put an EDF motor. But the belly of it, where he had the EDF motor, had cheater holes cut into the material. Okay. And
so was the motor embedded in the aircraft?
It was in the bottom, like the belly. Yeah, the belly of the beast. Okay. And you can appreciate this. No matter how much throttle he gave that thing, it didn't move faster. I mean, he could just go, and the plane would just go, it flew, okay, but like when you'd hear him rev up, you'd expect it to like take off. No, it's just like I'll get there when I get there. And so it was just wrong, okay. But it sure was pretty, I mean, the guy had fun flying it. It was just a thing he had to do, I guess, get out of the system. It needs to go back to a prop. But yeah, so there was a huge like Leprechaun night flying plane there. They had tons of flying wings. Did you guys get to see the night flying photos I posted?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
The video too.
Yeah, so I don't have it up here on the screen here, but on our YouTube channel, RC Roundtable, I put a video that I just grabbed with my iPhone of the night flying there, and KFC with his little gator cart going across the runway with fireworks screaming out the back of the bed. He had a shield of some sort that he created to protect his butt. And they say he does it all the time. And again, he's a very entertaining person. So hilarity ensued. And it was just a lot of guys flying. And there were a couple of cool mid-airs in that. I won't deny saying that was fun to see.
Yeah.
So if I remember when I was there last time, of course, this was many moons ago, there was, I think, some sort of hobby shop on the location. Was it still there?
Hodges Hobbies is closed. It closed back, I think, in 2016. So it's been a while.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is closed. Now houses airplanes and tools, and I'm saying ultralights, full-scale airplanes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there is no hobby shop there.
Oh, not so bad.
Now, what were the noontime demos? I remember a highlight when I was there was that Mac Hodges would do his B-29 retune, but I think they've retired that. So what were the demos?
So I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the other vendors. A couple of guys were selling different batteries, like high voltage batteries. So they were doing EDF flights with these, nicer batteries. And I would have tried one if I had some time, because they were offering people to, pick up a pack and try it in your airplane, see if you see a difference. So they had a couple of flights. Joshua Orchard flew his Saab out there. He also flew his P-47. It wasn't done. I mean, the Saab wasn't done, but he flew it anyway. I have some aerial shots of that. I was flying my Mavic. And so the other two main vendors that were doing demos was Flex Innovation with Kike and Extreme Flight.
Oh, okay.
And Santiago Perez had some flights. And Tim was out there too. The owner.
All right. Yeah. All right. Fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So did you ever answer Fitz's question of like a favorite or what stood out particularly?
Oh, I mean, for me, as far as an individual aircraft, I mean, for me, my favorite thing was probably the float fly. I think that was very pretty, very nice, calm, good times.
If you had to give, if it was the Lee Ray Best of Show Award, what would you have picked?
Man, my argument is a lot of people didn't take pictures of plywood overcast. It's like and no one took pictures of like my Tiger Cat, because by the way, I really enjoyed flying my Tiger Cat because I was doing some really low passes and that thing flies so much better. But I'm going to just give a self nod to plywood overcast because so many people left happy after flying it.
Okay, you can mail me my trophy.
Huh?
You can mail me my trophy then.
I'll mail you a trophy. But yeah, I for me, it was just seeing people experience it and thanking us and saying that was cool and never done that before. It meant something to me. So I'd like to pat ourselves on the back and say that was a fun task.
All right, I'll take that. So did you give out a lot of stickers and meet a lot of people?
I gave out RC Roundtable stickers out the wazoo. I put AMA bling in the raffle, so I never saw that again. Although I did, I guess I didn't tell you guys. Did I mention that I had brought a full set of plans for Thunder and Lightning?
Oh, no.
So personally, I put that in the raffle as one of their bronze prizes, like with the keychains. So the low end stuff. So they just try to give those away.
Is it the chiclets and the erasers?
It's exactly it. Yes. So the hats and stuff were out there. Well, I put the Thunder and Lightning out there, and a gentleman came up to me and said, "So I picked up your plans. What is this thing?" And at first I thought he was mad. I was like, "Oh, dude!" But I pulled out the Thunder and Lightning. I showed it to him. He's like, "Oh," he goes, "Oh, I could build that." And he thanked me and moved on. That was about as far as we went.
Okay,
nice.
But I didn't see anybody else doing that, so I thought that was kind of a unique thing to do.
That's a neat gift. There's nothing wrong with it. I saw there was a big helicopter flying around, and I was wondering, was there a helicopter area, or were they allowed to fly mixed in with all the other aircraft?
I did not mention that there are 2 runways, and I did not visit the other people on the other side of the tracks. The others. And you know what? That's kind of a good thing. It's kind of like Joe Nall for us, Fitz. Like there are some things we didn't get to do, but this year we'll spend more time doing that. So I didn't go over there a lot, but I know that they were flying some helicopters further away from the main, I guess, the main runway.
Mhm.
But that gentleman, and man, you put me on the spot. His name was on the tip of my tongue. Very awesome scale builder, and he had several helicopters out there. Beautiful, beautiful work. So yeah, those things were huge too. Did you happen to see
I saw
one
a
of the
picture of
photos I
one
posted?
Jet Ranger or something, and it looked like it was
Oh.
huge.
It is. Yeah, they were huge. Kind of like the gentleman you had at the boat with the ladder in the cart. This guy
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
huge cart, that he carried his planes off the runway with.
That's a big, and it's impressive. It was electric too. I would have loved to see the more details on that.
Yeah.
If he's listening, send us a note. I'm curious.
I can get you the contact information if you want to know all about it. I think Michael Rosnick knows him.
Oh, okay.
That makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
So did Dag bring any of his giant planes?
He did not.
Ah, that's too bad.
In fact, the only plane I saw Dag fly was that Flex little high wing that he did all the drops with.
Well, nothing wrong with that. That looks like
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
But sounds like you got opportunity to meet a whole bunch of people that you maybe only had corresponded with or heard about. It sounds like a good opportunity to see people in the flesh and talk to them and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, I do an AMA Air tomorrow, and obviously I can't talk this long, so I'll have to keep it brief, but I will add the AMA part here. I sat down with a ton of people at SEFF to talk about the AMA, mainly focused on FRIAs, and then the other half was remote ID. But there were several times people came into my tent, I let them pull up a chair, and we just hammered the FAA or hammered Homeland Security, and I was like their buddy and partner in crime, and we just complained about what we're doing. And then I just went back to saying, well, here's what we're going to do. We're trying to make sure that the FRIA solves your problem so that come September 16th, you go to your club, you fly like you have been, nothing changes. We'll do all that work for you. Just try not to worry about it. And the longest conversation I had was with a guy who was asking about getting his Part 107. And that was a great conversation. Just, he was like, I want to do something. And he was, I don't think it was the Coast Guard, but he had some military experience. And he just mentioned he wanted to do some like search and rescue with a drone. So that was a fun conversation. And he sat in with me and we just talked about planes and hobbies and how he got started for the longest time. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. I really felt like some people, came to talk to me to find out, to get answers, and I felt like I gave it to them. So
yeah, it's kind of neat things about these big meets is the people you get to meet and interact with.
Yep, for sure.
Gosh, honestly, I'm knock on wood here. I don't think I met anybody who got angry, probably except for that guy who crashed his plane in the pond. But most people were just having a good time, and they talked about how long they've been doing it for years with their family. Terry, this 9-year-old girl named Angel who flew Plywood Overcast.
Right. Oh yeah, tell us about her.
Come on, pat yourself on the back, buddy. You did something really nice, because the parents came to me and said that was the nicest gesture they've seen. I mean, people were giving her little toy planes and stuff, but the fact that they said, like, you were willing to let her fly that plane is like, yeah, it's really easy. And she did it, signed her name to it, and everybody saw her name and they go, oh, look, Angel got to fly it. She must, hang out with them or been there other years. So that was very nice.
How long she's been flying?
I don't, but I had dinner with Bob one night and he was talking about Angel and he goes, she's a firecracker, by the way.
Oh, is she?
Great gal. She just speaks her mind, and she's going to be an awesome adult. So I'm just going to, leave it at that. Nothing negative about it, but she does speak her mind. And she was saying something, my dad doesn't let me land yet. He can't land either. So I was like, well, I didn't let anybody land Plywood Overcast. I told her, don't feel bad, I'm going to land it for you. But she smiled and she was like real excited to sign it. So
did I ask this before? How many flights do you think you logged on Plywood Overcast?
You asked about 15.
Okay.
Oh, how many flights or people signed?
Well, flights. Times you charged, it takes 3 batteries every time.
Yeah, probably 8 or 9.
Okay, nice. That's very cool.
Oh, Joshua Orchard flew it twice, so he put 2 next to his name. So now he's Joshua Orchard the second.
That's funny. So the other thing I was going to ask, I remember from my time there were a lot of scratch builds and custom models, things like that. And Joshua's Saab B-17, that's scratch built. Did you notice many others?
Honestly, not really. I think some of the flying wings would have been neat to see, but it was dark. That was most of the guys who were flying the wings were on the total opposite end of where I was, so I didn't get to really hang out and look at their planes. But I have some walkthrough photos I've shared, and so you can look through there. I don't think so. And there was a complaint. I don't know if it was on our page or AMA's page of people, always building ARFs, not building new planes. And I kept going, did you see plywood overcast? It's not an ARF.
There's always going to be those grumpy people, but it is fun to see the scratch built stuff just because it's often very unique.
Yeah. I hope Joshua's not screaming going, God, he didn't even like my Saab or anything. The Saab is neat. And I almost feel like we have to have a whole show for Joshua to talk about that, because the landing gear is epic. Do you
really
know the story about the landing gear on this plane?
It's really unusual. It's like the fairings retract with the gear in a really distinctive way.
I can't do it justice trying to tell you what I saw. He needs to describe how they function. And it's just hilarious to look at when they retract.
Yeah.
So. Let's do something different with landing gear, shall we?
Well, the interesting thing is, it retracts backwards, kind of like a P-40. And on the maiden flight, you had a pretty significant CG shift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He mentioned
he and I had an offline conversation about that. And I was telling him about Sparky's, was it the B-58? We had a sliding tray. As the gear came up, the battery went forward to compensate.
Exactly.
Or the opposite. I forget which direction it went, but yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. Clever people doing fun stuff like that is just neat.
Yeah. So sorry, Joshua. Your plane's really cool, but it wasn't painted yet, so it was all pink. It's your fault for not painting it. I would have said more about it if you had done it. Of course, he did have his aluminum taped P-47, which is really pretty.
It was a Hangar 9 that he recovered, and it's really pretty.
Yep.
I remember from one time that I was there, somebody had a Gillows P-38. They had the giant scale, which could have been like Control Line 049 or something. Yeah. Maybe they even thought it could have been RC back then, but it was the big Gillows P-38, built very well, covered with Doculam or some other very clear covering. And they built it with floats, like 2 pontoons. And it looked really cool. And it would slide off the grass for takeoff, but it was just really cool. I'll have to look. If I still have my old SEFF photos, I'll see if I can dig that up. But that was just one of those really neat things that just, I think I come up with some neat ideas sometimes, but I'm like, I never in 100 years would have thought of that. And even if I thought of it, I never would have executed it that well. So it's fun to see those things and be inspired by them.
I was entertained by the one guy who saw me flying my Park Zone Corsair. And he goes, oh, I didn't know Park Zone had that scheme, that paid scheme. And then he goes, wow, I didn't know Corsairs flew on D-Day. And when I landed, I told him, he's like, oh, what a great idea. So it was neat to get the talk while it was in the air.
They don't, and they didn't.
Exactly. And it flew fine. It was the first plane that suffered a casualty in the trip to Georgia. The tail got jammed up against something else, and I lost a piece of foam. And I was like, I picked it up off the table and I moved it somewhere, and it disappeared. It's like the socks in your dryer. So I put that little foam piece down to glue it on later, and it's gone. And I've been through that trailer, and it's not there. It's disappeared.
The universe demanded a sacrifice.
Yes, I'm gonna have to make a new piece for it. But otherwise, it flew fine without it.
All right, cool. So did you have any actual flight damage, or was it all trailer damage to anything? Lee's thinking.
Because you know what, you don't want to jinx yourself. I don't think I had any damage to any of the planes at SEFF, and so yes, hangar. Now we didn't get into that. The trailer's a long story. Maybe we could save that for 174. The Tiger Cat fell off the table, so there's 3 shelves in the trailer. The the two in the back hold planes. The one that's further forward is actually a workbench. So I had several layers of foam. I had the Tiger Cat on top of that, gears retracted. On top of that, another layer of foam on top, and a single strap. That was my mistake. A single strap that crossed over that was pretty tight. I mean, when I was moving, it's like it wasn't moving far. When I got to Georgia, the nose was on the ground, down, tail was hanging by the strap. But I looked it over, and there didn't appear to be anything significant. So,
oh, nice. Yeah, I can picture as you driving over a Bro Bridge and the jumping up and down in the trailer.
Yeah, I had to. Couple of times coming back from Jackson, actually, I had to stop and pull over and move stuff. Gosh, I didn't tell you that. Yeah, you're talking about hanger damage. I was so nervous when I opened the door and saw the JR models on the ground. It had fallen off the top shelf all the way past the Tiger Cat to the ground, and in the Phase 3 P38, which is foam, and neither of them had serious damage. So I lucked out. I lucked out there. So yeah.
All right, cool. Did you see any crashes?
Lots.
Your favorite?
The RV into the lake.
Yeah, you don't want it to happen, but if it's going to happen, you want to see it.
Because I saw it, I was like watching. I get to see the whole thing. Unlike someone going, "Hey, what was that? Did you hear that thud?"
Yeah.
One regret I have is that they had a contest for LMR glider flights. It is what it is. I missed it, didn't hear it, didn't read the little instruction sheet that said, "Hey, we're doing this." So there were about maybe 8 guys who entered the contest, and you had a glider motor run 30 seconds, I think. And then you figure out, how long it took you to come down. They did several heats. And this one guy it was a pretty glider. I don't know what it was, but he went up and he said, as soon as the motor kicked off, the plane just nosedived 6 inches into the ground. It was a bullet, they said. And there's some aftermath photos. I'll maybe pick one up. And that was unfortunate. It looked like a really nice, like, professional glider. But had I known, I would have entered the Radian.
Yeah. Great glider.
It was flying. And this is a glider that didn't have ailerons either. Just elevator rudder, man. I had a blast flying that at night. I pulled up my chair, sat on the runway, and flew for like 15 minutes in the night flying.
Were there other night Radians up at the same time?
Yeah, about 3.
Now, you have one of the aftermarket light sequencers. Did that help?
Did not install it. We kept it stock. We wanted to make sure the lights were working.
Okay.
But we will.
Yeah, I like mine. It's pretty neat stuff. The one that it comes with has some great patterns, but you can't control it from the transmitter. You have to choose the pattern you want before you take off, and that's what you're stuck with during the flight. The aftermarket ones we have let you change it on the fly,
right? Which is a neat feature. So the first flight, I had lights set in a certain way. I did not like it. I came down immediately, switched it to something else, and stuck with that the rest of the evenings. Was happy. Yeah. The one I have has a strobe light feature, and if you want to make people on the ground mad, kick on the strobe light. Yeah. Side note on the Radian, my only issue with the Radian, 2 issues I have with the Radian. The batteries I have, the 2200 batteries that I used, are super tight. Even ones without Velcro. Could not get them through that little slot. And then once you did get it in there, the wiring compartment is just a mess. It's discombobulated. So luckily the clear canopy kind of just, pushes all the wires underneath it. So you didn't feel like you were stuck, like you were trying to get your fingers, like the Tiger Cat's a difficult one. But that's it. Other than that, she flies great. Yeah. Well, since you mentioned that, I don't remember all the specifics, but when I installed my light sequencer, the aftermarket one, I moved it to, there's a compartment in the belly where the servos are. It fit down there. That freed up a lot of space in the canopy. Good. So, good point. I'll remember that. I think they advertise it for use with a 3-cell 1300, but a 2200 will fit, and I think you need it for balance. Because a 1300, I think, will balance it if you don't have lights, but when you have all those lights in the tail and stuff, you need the 2200. Well, I was thinking I have an 1800. I was going to see if it would fit better, but maybe. And a lot of people say you can fly with the CG much further back than the manual suggests, but I don't know. Well, it flew fine the way it was. I don't want to really change too much. Yeah, I like mine with the 2200. All right, fun. What else? So this being your first time, what's the takeaway? What are you going to do different next time? Oh, right. Did we talk about this?
So he's all right.
You challenged me.
No, I instructed you.
It's true.
I gave you a clear path or a task. So you were supposed to find and fly the new twin timber, and you failed miserably.
You say I failed. Rejected. I was declined. No twin timber for you, as Chris Wolf said.
Well, you found it. You just didn't fly it.
I couldn't.
Was that the only one there?
The only twin timber there.
Okay, so there were no privately owned ones yet. The only one was in Horizon's booth, and they only brought one.
Yep.
And they weren't willing to risk it.
And as Fitz said, I didn't ask the right people. I should have used, I know Fitz Walker. He says I can fly the twin timber. So for those of you listening who have not caught the story on our Facebook page, which has a lot of views, and I think it got spread by some other Horizon like ambassadors. Terry said, go find a twin timber and go fly it. I found one. There's a picture of me holding it from Horizon's booth. I went to the gentleman who was in charge of these planes and said, hey, are you guys letting people fly? Because I would love to get my hands on the twin timber. And he goes, oh no, we only have the one. We can't let anybody fly them. And I just heard the music in my head. Da, da, da. I walked off very sad, and I immediately shared this photo. It said rejected, and then the conversation started. And I didn't get to fly the twin timber. And after looking at it, like looking at my twin otter and all that jazz, it's like meh.
You were just bitter.
Yeah, I was bitter.
Yeah, and you can't really blame them. It was their only one.
Yeah.
Well,
but I'm gonna throw them under the bus. So here we go. This is where you guys listen to the show are going, man, Lee got really angry. As soon as I was denied, I texted like my family. I texted like Ryan or something. I said, man, they're not gonna let me fly. And they went out to proceed to crash 2 more planes. These guys at the Horizon table, Ambassadors Horizon, crashed the F-14 and crashed the twin timber. Just saying.
You're really bitter.
Really bitter. I was like, I can do better than that. So there you go. I just did it.
That's bad karma, buddy.
And I even but Terry, I offered to let them fly Plywood Overcast. Now, how nice a gesture was that?
I think it was a loaded offer.
They turned me down. I offered them to fly Plywood Overcast. They turned me down.
Yeah, that's okay. Don't take it personally, man.
Okay.
So what were you going to say, Fitz?
I was just thinking, Joe Now's coming up. Maybe you'll have a second chance at it.
Yeah, take 2. Why, do you have one? Are you bringing it?
I don't have one. So maybe my club has one already, though. Or
really?
Somebody, they were...
Yes, you shared a photo. Correct. Yeah. I saw that.
Have you flown it yet?
No, they went out when I wasn't there.
If Fitz had said yes, I would have just switched off.
No, I haven't even seen it. I just saw it. They stuck out to the field. And nobody was there. Flew it.
All right. Cool.
To a field somewhere.
Oh man. Okay. Did I have a good time at SEFF? Absolutely. Should you go? Absolutely.
Well, that's all that matters.
There you go. That's
fantastic. Glad to hear that.
And you spent a good number of days there. You arrived Tuesday, left Saturday?
Yep. Right. Oh, we had some, by the way, we didn't mention the weather. We had some bad weather. So it rained 2 of the days. Saturday, it was coming in at like 3:30 or something. So I was packing it too. And I had just gotten on the road like around 2:30. So I was racing rain back to Mississippi. I hit some of it and it was coming at us. And there was a big storm that had hit a city that I was approaching, but it had gone north by the time I got there. So and it's very windy there, by the way, too, guys. I don't know if we talked about that.
No.
Like all the time?
In Saturday morning was the best, by the way. The best weather was Saturday morning, but the other days it was 10, gusting 15, 20.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a little breezy.
Yeah. I don't remember that being a particular concern when I was there. So maybe it was just something about that week.
Interesting.
Just sharing.
Well, it is.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for that data dump.
And
well, great time. It sounded great.
Yeah. And how long was the drive? 12 hours? 13?
Long.
Okay. And you're getting ready to do it again, right?
with this guy. Yeah, you Fitz. Got a long drive to South Carolina.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing could be finer in South Carolina.
2 weeks, buddy.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks we hit the road.
All right.
Oh,
So-
just for fun, do you know what you're going to bring, Fitz? Name 3
I
planes you
had
know
a-
you're going to bring.
I had started a short list, but it may evolve, so I'm hesitant to say anything other than I've started thinking about it. We'll see.
Plywood
All right.
overcast should
It
PO
has
time?
to. Yes, of course. So everybody listening, if you're going to be at Joe Nall, come see Fitz and Lee for a ride on Plywood Overcast.
Literally a ride on plywood overcast. Just sit right there on that little white platform.
And give Lee a hard time if he hasn't painted the motor mount yet.
Oh my gosh. I'm just going to get a Sharpie and color it for you.
So people will come up with paintbrushes and red paint.
There you go.
Have a painting party.
Paint the
I
motors
will-
while you're at it.
Just adding, I will be bringing the Twin Otter on floats, definitely, to fly at the float pond.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Bring something on floats. I got the little mini Twin Otter. I might bring that.
Oh, yeah.
Mike UMX and maybe the other Turbo Timber on floats as well. We'll see.
Yeah, and you could bring fuel-powered stuff as well.
Yes, we talked about that. In fact, that'll lead into the next thing we're talking about. So our friend of the show, Tomas at Legend Hobbies, has just started the Great Maxi Lift and Stinger 35cc gas engine giveaway. So in a partnership of sorts with the AMA, the RCT Roundtable, Hobby View, and RC Geek, you can enter to win this Maxi Lift and associated gas engine. So all you have to do is, we were showing a picture here. We have links on our Facebook page, and it's all over the place. So you just basically just have to follow those links and either visit or like a bunch of different websites. Basically, there's Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channels. And so each time you visit one of those places, you get an extra chance to win that. It's the plane and the engine. So people are a little confused about that. You don't have to visit all of those, but if you do, it increases your chance of winning, if that makes any sense. And there's no cost to it. And I think you just have to enter in your email address and your name, and that's it. I don't think you even have to be technically even registered to Facebook. I'm not quite sure if you need to even log into Facebook or not. I think all those pages are
It just says visit. So.
Yeah, just visit. Yeah, it used to be like, but that's feature is no longer available. They said, the like feature doesn't work anymore. So just visit those places. And so that plane, I have one of those myself that I'm working on for a review. And if all goes well, I will bring it with me to Jonal as well.
All right, cool.
And do what?
And drop things out of it.
Drop things
and tow things.
And tow things.
Drop things and tow things. The plane itself, I should mention, has a working bomb bay and has a tow hitch.
Okay, nice.
Tow hitch thing on it. So it's very much a utilitarian plane, and it's pretty neat. 80 something inch wingspan. 86
We're gonna tow plywood overcast.
Yeah. And tow a glider after that, right? So tow
one behind it. Yeah, exactly.
So I will bring a gasser to be flying the main flight line. Although primary, I think that's maybe quite if I'll bring any other gassers or not, I'm not sure. But so that'll be there, and I'll be hopefully towing stuff, Lee and I, and dropping stuff. I got some stuff for the bomb bay to drop out of it, so it should be cool.
All right. So when will you guys be there?
Tuesday.
Do you know the dates?
Is that the 12th, I think?
I don't remember.
Okay. And staying until...
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm way off. That next week is the 12th. The 16th of May.
Okay.
I think the 12th is when it officially starts. We'll be there Tuesday evening, the 16th. But we'll be there through Sunday morning.
Oh, nice. It's going to fly by, no pun intended.
Yep.
All right.
That's good. Yeah, it should give us a good chance to see and really soak it in. Last time we were there, we we had to leave just as things were getting going. So
Yeah. So Lee, did you find our banner?
I did not.
Oh no.
I got to figure out where it is.
Okay.
I'll call Kirk and see if it's here. Good, nice little segue, because it may be here. So, guys, I'm sorry, hit the microphone there. Coming up on October 7th and 8th, and that's 5th and 6th for you early birds like me and Fitz. Best Electrics in South Texas is coming back for its 20th anniversary at Tri-County Barnstormers in New Waverly, Texas. I spoke to several people at SEFF about Best, and I think we'll get at least one person to come down. I was like, guys, Best is like a mini SEFF. It really is. And we've been in it for 20 years. And I think when they heard 20 years, they go, oh, well, shoot, that's been around a long time. I think we'll have to come visit. I said, go to RC groups and go check out our threads. You'll want to come to Best. So it definitely is not as large as SEFF. We don't have the hookups or anything. But I ran into several people who said, oh, I'd heard about Best. That's in Texas, right? So I said, yeah, they got that part correct. So anyway, it's coming up. Yeah, but they just heard Best. So
yeah.
Anyway, the new flyer is on the screen, and we will be there, of course. So we hope those of you who are in the listening range of Texas, of Southeast Texas, and you have nothing to do that weekend of October, please come out and hang with me, and just come hang out with Fitz and the rest for Best. It'll be a blast. We always have a great time every year, and we'd love to have you join us. And hopefully we'll do like a show on Saturday, Fitz.
Oh, yeah.
Get a recording going.
If we can, yeah. We'll just record it. I don't know. I don't remember the cell coverage out there, but at least we can do a pre-recorded one at least.
Yeah, we've had a couple of recordings out there just sitting around the pits at a table, and that's been fun. That's always been fun. Let's do it again.
Indeed. All right. Are we out of stuff to talk about, or is there more?
I think that's it.
I think that's it.
I think that's enough.
Lee, it's not 2 hours.
It's not 2 hours, but we're getting close. So let's wind it up.
It's a downtrend. And on that note, I think we will head off. Thanks, guys. It's good to have you back, Lee. And the band's back together again. So, of course, we're going to be split up in a couple of weeks. But anyways, thanks, everybody, for listening. And as always, if you got anything to say to us, please give us a shout at contact@rcroundtable.com. We read every and any emails, even the ones that are not so nice.
We give those to Terry.
We give those to Terry, yes.
Hold on. Since you said that, we have to admit that we're not great about responding to all of them.
Terry's not.
I said we read, not respond.
So don't take it personally.
We usually will try to get it around to you if you need to. I actually got back to the other guy, so I did. It was a little late, but we responded.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's usually a lack of inner communication.
Yeah, it's three of us, her niece, and 3 cats. But we love to hear from you. So give us a shout if you can. If you need to say anything, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know. At least somebody's listening to us. All right. On that note, you guys got any last things to say before we blow this taco stand?
Farfignugan.
All right. Consider this taco stand blown. And thus is the end of the RC Roundtable, episode 173. Good day and good night, good sir. Please visit our website at rcroundtable.com, where you can send us comments and suggestions or listen to our other great podcasts, where you will also find links to our iTunes and social media sites. Thanks for listening.